Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, for blessing me with the spirit to do this lesson. And as you can see, the title of the video I'm about to play, it says, Pattern of Domestic Violence Led Up to Woman Shooting Wife in the Head Inside Their Home. So, I'm going to have to watch what I say because you know how YouTube get about this this topic. And you should pretty much already know what it's about to go into. Two reprobates, in Babylon the Great, who believe love is love, But this is the judgment of the Lord. And the Lord broke up this quote unquote American Union, because it's an order, right? It's an order that the Lord put out. And that order is supposed to be abided by. And America, Babylon the Great, doesn't care about the Most High. Esau, Edom, doesn't care about the Most High. In fact, each and every day he wakes up, he looks to disrespect the Most High because he hates the Most High, right? The scriptures tell you in the Song of Three Holy Children that verse 1 that these people are the most hateful and forsakers of the Most High, man. Right? So it would make sense that, this society would be forced to accept, the Rainbow Coalition, right? The Crayola box of colors. You know what I'm getting at. But you're going to see it, man. So let me read that again, and I'm going to play it. This is Isaiah 60 and verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. And you see that. You see darkness covering the earth. It ain't even got to be on this topic, man. All, across the board. People are bugged out. People believe that whatever they feel is the right way. And men leading itself is going to result to destruction. And this is why the world is the way it is. It says, and gross darkness the people. Yeah, bug outs. But the Lord shall rise upon thee. Who's that? The elect. Right? The ones that have this understanding. It says, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, because at the end, and pretty soon, because we are at the end, pretty soon everybody's gonna know who has the truth. Everybody's going to know that this is the right way. Right? Everything is gonna come back to its natural estate once Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, puts this place back in righteousness and in order. Right? Because this place gotta go, man. So let's play it. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua willing, the elect be edified. Shalom.
New at 6 at Channel 2 Action News exclusive. Look closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife. She's now pleaded guilty to the crime, and Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie is live in Midtown Atlanta. Mark, there were allegations of domestic violence before the murder, but that suspect got out on bond.
Yeah, a prosecutor with the Fulton County DA's Domestic Violence Division says while the video shows the killer getting the gun moments before this murder, his experience looking at abusive relationships shows how often victims sadly stay in or return to a relationship even as the violence escalates.
In the Perkins case, it is a wife who kills her wife. There had been escalating violence.
In November 2022, Shakaya Perkins shot out of the house she shared with her wife, Cornisha Perkins, stalked to her car, and came back with a gun in her left hand. Then Shakaya shot Cornisha in the head and killed her, says Fulton County Senior Assistant District Attorney Travis Thomas.
Pretty soon after we showed that video, she decided to take the plea.
He says last month, Shakaya Perkins pled guilty to murder and more.
She ultimately pled to life with the possibility of parole. That was a plea deal that was offered. So she admitted everything.
Thomas says though they shared the bond of matrimony on the day of the murder, Shakaya Perkins should not have been near her wife because Shakaya was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson first degree. Conditions including must not come within 200 yards of the victim in those alleged incidents, which was Cornisha.
She tried to run Cornisha off the road in her car. And this all happened within months of this incident. Also, there was an incident where she set Cornisha's car, she had a Jeep, set her car on fire in a driveway.
Thomas says in the vehicle arson, a person believed to be Shakaya Perkins can be seen on doorbell video in the vicinity of the fire. And in another incident, she kicked the door of a residence where Cornisha temporarily stayed. The prosecutor says charges relating to the alleged incidents before the murder were dismissed since Shakaya Perkins agreed to plead guilty in the murder case and accept a life with the possibility of parole sentence. Prosecutor Thomas told us he's a former Army officer who did 2 tours in Iraq, but his work as a domestic violence prosecutor in Fulton County has showed him the toll escalating violence can take.
Recognize domestic violence and seek help. There's a lot of organizations out there that will help.
A transcript indicates the defense said, "My client has never been in real trouble before. You know, this was a toxic relationship that I think both families just wish that they had gone their separate ways. And it's just not what happened. They kept trying to work it out." District Attorney Fonnie Willis.
We here in Fulton County need to do what they've done all across the country and create a family justice center so the victims here, when they are going through this abuse, they have somewhere to go and resources to help them to rebuild their lives.
Now, I guess we're in one of those pop-up showers that Brad just talked about. In 2022, we covered that bond a judge gave in the earlier alleged incidents, a statement then attributed to Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis said, in part, my office opposed bond in this case. Cases involving domestic violence often involve ongoing danger to the victim. We tried to reach out in a number of ways to the defense attorney today. Reporting live, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
Salakia, 1 second.
Want to lose 15 to 20% of your weight in a year? Try
Goddamn
Rose
ad,
Insurance
man.
Checker to see if you're covered for GL.
New at 6, a Channel 2 Action News exclusive.
So I want to put her up there. All right, I want to put her up there. So, you heard it. a lot going on, man. Here you got you can see the demons on this demon, right? You got the manly spirit, the stud spirit, and all that, And a lot of those relationships are very violent and very toxic, as they say. Because it's out of order, man. Is pretty much well out of order, right? And this goes on in Atlanta a lot. Brothers speak on this a lot. So let's go to Job. Job chapter 10. Job chapter 10, verse 22, it says, a land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, man, because there's no order in the land of America, Babylon the Great. You can do what you want, love who you love, be with who you want to be with, marry who you want to marry, what you want to marry. This place is a complete bug out, right? So they said that pretty much it's been, constant you know, physical abuse and things of that sort. And the girl, this chick got off, the manly one. But they will have you think that this is just a blissful, relationship. Whenever you're dealing with, that type of community, they want you to think that it's all peaches, man. And the men ain't no more, better, man. The men are worse, you know. To whereas this chick believes that she's a man, and she runs the joint, but it's just no order, man. It's just no order, right? So the Lord has a judgment for that. Let's get Romans. All right, let's get Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, and I'm going to start at 25. It says, who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator? Because people in society, they worship themselves or, other people, man, celebrities or whatso have you. They don't worship Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, man, our people, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. You are way out of your fucking mind, man. It says, for this cause, the Most High gave them up to vile affection. And this is a vile affection, man. A disgusting affection. It says, for even their women did change the natural use unto that which against nature. What is the nature of a woman? To bear children. Two sockets cannot, you're not going to get anything from that. Or two plugs, you're not going to get anything from that, man. It's out of order, man. It's no use. So when people try to do things and justify it, or say things and justify their actions or why they're doing this and why they're doing that, it's still null and void, man, because it's not natural, man. Verse 27, it says, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, lying, Salakia, working that which is unseemly, and receive in themselves the recompense of their error, which was meat, man. So the recompense is the result, man, is the judgment of being in that lifestyle. You ain't supposed to be in that lifestyle, man. The Lord created, male and female. That's what comes together and bears children, man. Nothing else. You can't get children from nowhere else, man. Right? Regardless of what America has fucking told you. So, this was bound to happen, and the Lord is going to put a spirit on these so-called unions to do these types of acts, man, because the Lord got something for them, man. The Lord got something heavy for these types of people, man. Right? So let's get 2 Peter, because this is all they are, man. 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 12. It says, but these as natural brute beasts, because what? When you don't abide by the laws of the Heavenly Father, you become a beast, man. As David said, right? When you don't abide by the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, you are a beast. Because then you go according to your ways and your feelings, and it's going to draw you into destruction, man. Right? It says, but these as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed. This is why a lot of our people are going to be destroyed, man, because they're beasts. Right? And this is an action of a beast, man. Right? It says, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, man. And this is the judgment of being in that lifestyle, man. Nothing good is going to come out of you being in that lifestyle, man. Right? So I got one more. We're going to shut it down. I don't want this to be too long, man. Because, you know, YouTube, they get all bent out of shape when you talk about this. Right? But it's going to happen anyway. You can try to, you know, black out the video and whatever. Right? The Lord is going to do what he do to these people, man. This is 2 Ezra 12 and 28. It says, for the sword of the one shall devour the other, but at the last shall he fall through the sword himself, man. So the Lord got a 2-for-1 special, man. Right? And this is going to happen far, you know, more in these last days. It's going to happen far more, man. So, you know, the point is made. I'm going to leave it there. I didn't want this to be too long. I didn't want to say something that, you know, YouTube, you know, they might still do it, but whatever, you know. So, yeah. Kohlo Yahweh Ba'Shem, Amashiach Yahushua, for blessing us and blessing me to bring out another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. And to the next lesson, Shalom.
Them to rebuild their lives.
Now, I guess we're in one of those pop-up showers that Brad just talked about. In 2022, we covered that bond a judge gave in the earlier alleged incidents, a statement then attributed to Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis said, in part, my office opposed bond in this case. Cases involving domestic violence often involve ongoing danger to the victim. We tried to reach out in a number of ways to the defense attorney today. Reporting live, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.